Hi guys. Today I'm hopping on to talk to you about passion versus paycheck. As in, it can be really tempting to only want to take clients that we are personally passionate about or personally interested in or personally would want to buy from or something like that. It can be tempting because it feels more exciting. Sometimes it feels even a little bit easier to write for those kinds of clients. And don't get me wrong, you absolutely should embrace the kinds of clients that you want to work with. But by limiting yourself to only the clients that you immediately have a natural affinity to, you're really limiting both your career and your learning. When you are only working with a certain type of client, which is, kind of a little bit what we talk about when we say you don't want to niche, but even more broadly, when you only want to work with a certain type of client, or you only want to work with the kind of client that you would be interested in purchasing from, or you personally find immediately exciting, you're really limiting the scope of work that you'll be willing to take. And the thing is that you may find all kinds of exciting, interesting things about a client that you didn't initially think was interesting once you dive in and once you get to learn about them and learn about their target audience and what motivates their target audience and all that kind of thing. And the thing is that you can't know this until you start working with a client. Anecdotally, personally, redundant as that is to say, I guess, there have been plenty of clients where initially I think, all right, well, I guess we're going to learn about aerospace now, or I guess we're going to learn about, residential tractors. I know that's the example I always give, but it's such a good one because who wants to learn about residential tractors? Turns out super interesting. But once you dig in and start working with the client, remembering that so much about copywriting is the concept of solving a puzzle. Almost any client, in fact, I really couldn't think of any kind of client in which you couldn't find something interesting to work with about it. And the thing is when you limit yourself to only taking clients that you immediately think, ooh, I'm excited about this, I'm passionate about this, you miss the opportunity to learn new things and work with different kinds of clients, but also learning for yourself as a copywriter. Working in different industries, you will learn new tactics. You will learn new things that people are doing in other industries that you can carry into working with other clients. There's so much opportunity to learn just by working with a new kind of client. As much as we bring things to the table with our clients, there are plenty of times when where clients will end up teaching us things or teaching us tactics or perspectives or even just give us an idea with the way they do something that we could transplant into another one of our kinds of clients. So limiting yourself to just working on clients that you immediately think, oh yes, I'm passionate about this is what I want to do, can really limit your learning and your growth as a copywriter. So I want to offer up that caution there. I also do want to offer up the caution of, I only want to work with this type of client because of XYZ. For example, not often, but every once in a while we'll hear from a student who says, oh, I only want to work with, socially conscious companies. I only want to work with nonprofits. I only want to work with that kind of client, which is great. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time too, when you broaden your perspective a lot, you find out, you may think, oh, I only want to work with nonprofits. I only want to work with small companies that are very socially conscious and very social justice oriented, which again is great. But when you broaden your perspective, you find out that there are some major corporations that are doing really good things in the world, but it's not one of their main, not one of the things that they're really known for. They may be giving millions and millions and millions of dollars to really worthy causes, but you wouldn't necessarily know that until you started working with the organization. Which, yes, maybe a little bit of a PR problem on their part, but there's so many messages out there in the world it's really hard to miss it, especially when a big organization is doing other important things, is also making major strides in the social justice sphere, but you don't know about it because it's kind of a secondary mission for them. So just be careful about making, we always say, don't make assumptions. So be careful about making assumptions about clients or potential clients until you know about them a little bit more. So that's one side of the paycheck versus passion. And I'm not at all saying that you should always choose paycheck over passion. Definitely work with clients that you are passionate about, you're interested in, but just be careful about immediately discounting potential clients because you think at the outset that you're not interested in them, because I'm willing to bet that just about any kind of client that you really dig in and learn about their business and their target audience and how what they do transforms the lives of their target audience, almost any kind of client and any project ends up being interesting there. Now, on the other side of the coin, do you always have to choose paycheck over passion? No, you guys know that you're in charge of your own businesses and you're in charge of your own finances, which is one of the wonderful things about being a copywriter. But in that same sense, it's up to you to make choices about whether or not you want to do work for a client if that client is just not going to pay as much, but it's a really fun client. Like, for example, years ago, I used to write the back cover copy for Harlequin romance novels, which was just so flippin' fun. I mean, just, when you think of lighthearted, almost kind of goofy copy, it was right up there. Now, maybe they've changed, so I don't know, because this was probably, 8, 9 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago that I used to do that for them. But it did not pay especially well, but because it was a big corporation, there wasn't room for negotiation. They had a set rate that they paid all freelancers, so there wasn't any room for me to say, well, this is my rate. There wasn't any room for negotiation. However, because the project was just so much fun that I did it for a couple of years because it was such a lighthearted break in some of the other work that I would have coming in. The tone that I would use to write for universities or write for travel companies or write for all the other, more, I was going to say more corporate, but Harlequin is corporate, but different types of audience. It was such a nice mental break to write in the Harlequin tone, the back cover copy Harlequin tone, that I used to take those projects and I kept doing it because I really enjoyed it, even though, again, it paid a lot lower than my regular rate was. But I enjoyed it so much that I was willing to and it didn't take me very long, that I was willing to I was going to say toss it, but that's not quite right. But I was willing to trade that off, I guess, is what I want to say. But that's going to depend on each of you. If you were just building up your business, you may not really have that luxury of saying, yeah, I'm going to take a bunch of lower paying work because it's really fun or whatever. Or you may get to the point where you have a lot of work coming in at your standard rate, or maybe even a little bit higher, and you say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to take this little project or this side project because it's really fun and because it's really interesting. So, we always talk a lot about how much flexibility we have in our copywriting careers, and that's one of them, is really balancing the passion versus paycheck. And actually, it's a little bit of a misnomer because it doesn't have to be passion or paycheck. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can definitely be both, and you can definitely find a balance for both of them in your life. And like I said, you may find that projects that you initially thought were going to be like, okay, this is not passion, this is just paycheck, you might find out that they turn out to be some of your most interesting clients. There's some clients that I've worked with that, what was another recent one? A company that does rewards programs, digital rewards programs for restaurants and like convenience stores and that kind of thing. And you're like, oh, okay, you have an app, or even punch cards sometimes, mostly digital, but so you have an app and the more you dig into it and all the different strategy and all the different ways that you can approach it, and all of the different learnings and even like generational elements to it, so interesting. So do your very best to avoid making assumptions, making snap decisions about potential projects or potential clients till you get a chance to dig in, because it just may be that your paycheck only clients often become your passion clients as well.